Outer Banks This Week presents The Other Side of Fishing with Captain Marty Brill, a time when the captain shares his deepest thoughts, gives fishing advice, and entertains guests. So here he is, Captain Marty.
All right, here we are back with another edition of The Other Side of Fishing with Captain Marty. We're on location, and I'll reveal our location here in just a few moments. And it's been a few moments. It's all brought to you by Red Drum Tackle, and that's where we are right now, aren't we, Marty?
We certainly are, right in Buxton at the epicenter of the best surf fishing in the world.
Absolutely. Red Drum Tackle, I mean, the closest tackle shop to the point. I mean, literally, we're across the street from the road that takes you out to the point. And, I mean, looking around this shop, there's not much that they don't have. But we're going to get into a little bit more about that in just a few moments. Very happy, very thankful that they are the presenting sponsor of The Other Side of Fishing for Captain Marty. But, you know, sometimes you got to have that, and you got to have somebody to help power you along. And, of course, who better than Ricky Radcliffe at Radcliffe Marine out in Belhaven? They are the largest repower center in all of Northeast North Carolina.
They certainly are, and they've been with me the longest of any sponsor I have.
Okay.
And they do a great job. They're over in Belhaven. And, of course, they're conveniently located right by Fish Hook's restaurant, which has become our favorite place.
Yeah, so when we make that trip out to Belhaven to pay Mr. Ricky a visit, and Mr. Shane, we always end up showing up at about lunchtime, and we're like, gosh, you know what? Long drive from the beach. We're hungry, and we go to Fish Hook's right there in downtown Belhaven, and it's great.
We need them for a sponsor.
We're going to work on that one. I think I might know who owns that.
Yeah.
But, hey, look, you know what? We're also thankful to have another power by, and that would be Wanchese Marina down there at 4457 Mill Landing Road, Wanchese. You know, that used to be a fish house.
Yes,
Graybeards, wasn't it?
I sold many a fish.
No, Jaws Seafood.
No, it was Jaws Seafood.
Jaws.
Yeah. Yes.
That's right. Graybeards was Fresh Catch.
Right. That's exactly
which is another one of your sponsors.
Yeah.
So, yes, Wanchese Marina, they've got the landing grill. Mm-hmm. They've got the marina itself. You can go fishing. You can check out everything they have down there online at wanchesemarina.com. But let's go back to what we were originally talking about, being here at Red Drum Tackle. Now, that's one thing that I'd said I wanted to do. We were going to take the show on the road. You know, one thing that we haven't really been able to do before, except for at like tournament season and stuff like that. But I figured, you know what, being as Miss Kara and Mr. Bobby here have graciously grabbed that presented by a sponsor. Because when I walked in here and started talking to Miss Kara about it, she goes, I want that. Give me that right there. And I said, you know what, we're going to bring the show down here. We're going to do it with them.
Yeah, we've never done this before.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like a full show done right here in the tackle shop in Buxton on Hatteras Island. I think it's great. So we're going to bring and welcome them in. Miss Kara's here. Hey, yay.
Thank you very much for having
Kara
me.
is the owner. And
yes.
Kara and her husband, Bob Eakes, have been friends of mine for a very long time. And Bobby, I just learned, is her 19-year-old son. And the two of them run this tackle shop. And Kara, before we get into the meat and potatoes, I have a true confession. True confession.
Let's hear this confession. Are you ready for this, Mr. Bobby? 19 years old, by the way, Bobby
I
is.
was his age. When I was 19 years old and lived in Hatteras, my first 2 summers, I actually, this road right across the street from isn't this the road that takes you to the campground?
Yeah,
okay,
it is the
Bobby.
one that takes you to the Cape Point, or not Cape Point, the National Campground out there. Yes, sir.
Okay, so when I was mating in Hatteras Village for Buddy Hooper and other people years ago, I was 19 years old, we would cruise the campground. Now, when I say that, I was single, and you weren't supposed to cruise the campground. You weren't, Justin. Don't you give me a smirk, because I know you did it up on the northern. You were not supposed to even be in the campground unless you were camping. You know, it was not really open to just random visitors, but all the locals down here, Bull Tolson, I'm going to get some people hung up on in trouble.
You're going to get some people in trouble now.
Stephen and Michael Peel, others, I said, man, we wanted to meet some college girls that were camping, but the people at the gate, they knew better. So what we would do is we would go offshore fishing and fly out some dolphin, you know, or mahi, whatever you want to call them, and go in there. We would bribe the people at the gate with fresh fish, and they'd say, go on in. And we would cruise the campground and have a great time. It was being young on And that was right down the street, right?
That's right.
You never did stuff like that, did you, Kara?
No, but I remember walking over to this building with my sister. From there, we were coming to get ice cream. So I was on my family trip. I must have been 6 or 7 years old.
You were camping down there?
I was.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
And I walked over to this building here and got ice cream with my sister. And we walked back, among the mosquitoes that would almost fly and take you away. They were large back then.
God, did you ever think that someday you would own a store right here in this? Well, of course you own that. But when you did that, were you fishing? Did you do some fishing?
Oh, yeah.
Was that a family thing?
It was a family thing. We had a pop-up camper, and we would go, 4 girls and my mom and dad, and we roughed it out there, but we had the best time and memories of fishing and having just a good time, a good family time.
I'm laughing about almost everything we're talking about because that's the same way I grew up in Daytona Beach, Florida. We went on family real camping in a tent, and we went down to the Florida Keys. And Kara, I don't know how much you know about me, but I tell a story on my radio show about my dad and I were the fishermen. My sisters were the little beach bunnies, but we got down to Marathon. You spent plenty of time in the Keys, I'm sure, but we went down there and I was like, Bobby, 12 years old, and we got set up in a tent. It was hot, like you say. And me and the neighborhood boy I'd met in the next campsite over, we were climbing up these trees. After we got everything set up in the campground, Dad said, go play. Go get out of here.
Yeah.
So we're climbing these trees, these tropical trees that were full of red berries. And while we're up in us being like 11, 12 years old, we're stuffing the berries in our nose. And then clamping off the other side, Bobby, and blowing them like dragons. We were playing dragon in these tropical trees. And that night, I had my own pup tent. I had my own tent.
Your own tent.
My own little tent. And I woke up and I can't open my eyes, and my nose was the size of a tennis ball. And anyway, I started screaming from Mom and Dad. Before it was over with, they took me to the hospital in Marathon, and the doctor said, something is really wrong with your son. And my dad had no idea that what we'd done. And the doctor says, you put something in your nose? I said, well, we were just putting these red berries in our nose. They were poison oak berries. And we had to cancel the entire family vacation, a 2-week vacation, and go back home because the doctor said he's got to be in air conditioning and ruin the whole family. You never poked anything up your nose like poisonous berries?
No, I can't say I've done that yet.
No. If you haven't done it by 19, Bobby, you're probably safe.
I hope so, but
that's what boys do. So yeah, I remember. But anyway, so that was a great memory for me. I love my first few years at Hatteras, and of course, I knew your husband Bob very well, and used to love to talk to him on the docks, and then all through the years, it was the Bullfrog. No,
yes,
it was the Bullfrog.
It was. He was a great man and did wonderful things for Bobby and I, this legacy to leave it for us to take care of. And then also, just to hear the family stories over the years of how many people he had taken care of and treated them all as if they were going with equal firepower, going fishing.
Yeah.
And just love to see the 3 generations come through the front door, and that's just awesome. It's an awesome way to live.
Yeah, to comment on that, we had a family come in the other day that was 4 generations.
There you go.
It was the whole way.
Going all the way back 4 generations.
Yeah.
And one thing I remember about your dad was I know he commercial fished and I know he charter fished, but I also remember there were times when he would take, I think that boat, wasn't it a green hulled boat? Was the boat
originally?
Green?
Yes, the first one. So he had I think it was a Bruno originally.
That's right. That's the one.
And it was, I think, green and black with a pinstripe of white.
That's right. Well, I remember him going fun fishing on that boat. No charter, no commercial. When the Blue Marlin bite was on, not a lot of times, but he'd be going out with just 1 or 2 other people, and that was the thing I loved about Hatteras. I did that with Buddy Hooper when he wasn't booked on the Hatteras Fever. Yeah, the old Hatteras Fever. It was actually the Sea Whisper back then. He would take his crab boat, and we would go offshore fishing off of Hatteras. So
right
now, you guys, Bobby, just before we get into the tackle shop stuff, you guys have a new boat in the family, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Tell us about that.
We got rid of our we had a 35-foot Duffy, and it was just getting a little bit too much for us to handle. So we had had a deal of a lifetime with one of the recent charter captains down here. Was getting a new boat, so we had been able to inquire into a 28-foot Valentino, which we've had it for about 2 months now.
Yes,
and have loved every second of it.
I know the boat pretty well, and it's a beautiful boat. But how did the local charter boat captain play into that story?
He had fished it for about, I think it was 2 or 3 years, and then he just was upgrading to a different boat that's kind of a little more versed for, let's say, near shore fishing, near and offshore. And he loved the boat, but he just needed something a little bit bigger for his personal needs and for family needs. So he just was getting rid of it, and we had just slid right in on it. And he's one of our close family, personal friends. So it just worked out perfectly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's beautiful. How long is that boat?
It's a 28-footer.
Yeah. So you can do just about anything with a 28-footer, offshore, inshore, around the inlets.
Yeah, I think it drafts. I think they say it's either 11 or 12 inches of water. And we can get in trout fishing, puppy drum fishing.
Did you say 11 or 12 inches of
water? Yes, sir. Yeah, really? It has a 300 on it. So we can go offshore, carry. I mean, I've had, I think, 8 people on there before comfortably and being able to just space out a little bit. But yeah, we're going to get up into 11, 12 inches of water drafting, go puppy drum fishing, like I said, and then go off. Like we've been catching a lot of, me and my girlfriend went off last week and caught Spanish, bonita mackerel, and went up north looking for a cobia.
Did you find a cobia?
We did not.
Not that day?
We left just a little bit too early. We had to come back for some, during, what was it, Memorial Day? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we hung out with some friends back here. But, like, I got a text from one of my buddies about 2 hours later. He's like, I found him finally. And he said he found about 10 or 15 different pods of 2 or 3 fish.
So, Bobby, with that boat, what is your favorite kind of fishing? I mean, boat fishing. I'm talking about boat fishing.
Boat fishing, my favorite boat fishing. I love to do a lot of bottom fishing. I haven't done it.
Too.
I haven't had to do it in a couple of years now. But with this boat personally, I haven't had very much time on it just because of working wise. But we've done mainly trolling for Spanish.
Okay.
We've got a bunch of different size, but mainly a lot of bigger ones with planers and whatnot.
Okay, and Kara, what about you? If you got now you have a boat, what is your favorite?
My favorite is, I would say the trolling for mackerel. You know, anytime I can see all of us enjoying the day, that's fine. You know, and the bluefish are a lot of fun anymore. Yeah. You know, we're blessed to have that stock doing so well because, you know, it had been a long, long time since we saw the 30 to 35 inchers.
Yeah, like we've recently, even from like last year, the year before, we, I think that class of bluefish went from like a 5 to 6 pound, maybe even a 7 pound bluefish to like almost 10 to 12 pound bluefish I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
Like I think we weighed one a couple weeks ago that was like 10.5 pounds and then like 37 inches. So, I mean, that's a monster bluefish.
Now, you mentioned the bottom fishing. Like I grew up on headboats in Florida from the time I was in 8th grade and actually worked as a bait boy and then a third, second mate and whatever until I graduated from high school and came up here. But I love bottom fishing. I wanted to ask you now, the big thing, we were talking off there about some trends, how things are shifting for whatever reason, climate change, migration patterns, whatever it is. But the sheephead fishing, and I say sheephead, but a lot of people say sheep's head, that is exploding here, Oregon Inlet down to Ocracoke.
Yeah.
And I did not really realize, I was thinking most of it was back in the Sound, and I know a lot of it is, but have you had the opportunity yet to try that out? And don't a lot of these inshore boats do it, fishing on the wrecks and out here around the buoys and things, catch these sheephead in the ocean?
Yeah, they this last year, I don't know about prior years. I really haven't done it very much, but this last year I was able to, or even here just a couple weeks ago, I got out and was able to do a little bit on our on the new boat and our skiff that we've had for a long time. And they're it's a very high, big class of fish. It seems like before they go into the Sound, I feel like some of them are smaller.
Yeah, I saw a 14-pounder the other day.
I caught a 12-pounder a couple weeks ago. That was a stud.
I want to talk about gearing up for sheephead because that's what you guys do. But I want to ask this: an old timer when I was a little boy told me, you know what the secret is to catching a sheephead, right?
Not exactly.
I had to think you have to jerk right before they bite. You know?
Yeah, it's almost a pre-jerk.
It's a pre-jerk, because they're so fast, but they fight really hard. Yeah. I would say about as hard as any fish I know. They're great to eat because they're in the porgy, or basically the same family as a red snapper. Yeah, but they're in that porgy family, and it's just a booming. I see these inshore and half-day guys making a living carrying people.
Yeah, like there was multiple days that I would go down to some of the fish cleaners, and like some of my friends work down there. And I mean, you have boats that coming in just full of big sheep's head, like an average of probably 6 to 8 pounders. Wow. And you even get some, like you said, 12, 14 pounders.
I can't even imagine. So what's the rig look like for, if you were someone walked in the door right now here at Red Drum in Buxton and wanted to rig up for sheephead, how would you rig them up?
Mainly, so there's 2 different types right now. We're trying to get into one of the ways we don't really carry very much, but we're going to be carrying going into this next year with the knowledge that I have of it now, which is sweeper jig heads. That's like a little, I mean, it's probably like a 1 to 2 ounce jig head that has a either a circle or a J hook that can kind of flail around, I guess, more. And we're just putting a sand flea on the back of that guy and just dropping it down and jigging it up.
Okay, yep. So it's not a crab, but
you can use crabs.
I know growing up, fiddler crabs are best, but I understand down here they're using pieces of blue crabs and stuff like that. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. All right, that's one way. What's the other way?
The other way is they sometimes will do like like the way I like to do it a lot is like a double drop rig, which is like 2 hooks and you put like a 1 or 2 ounce sinker on the bottom. And then you're still using sand fleas or those fiddler crabs that you were talking about. And you're just dropping it down, same thing, jigging it off the bottom. But they are for lack of words, pesky fish. Because of how finicky they can be trying to grab that sand flea off of it and just crunching it.
And I always told people if someone's new and wants to try it, whether you're in a boat or on a pier or whatever, a boat will allow you need to take a flat shovel or any kind of shovel, but a flat-bladed shovel, and if you'll scrape the pilings off the barnacles, that's free chum, and they love it, and they will fire up when you do that. So that's a good idea. All right, so that's interesting.
We now got to have a flat-nosed shovel with us while we go sheep's head fishing.
That has a Red Drum logo on it, probably.
Yeah, red drum shovel. That's what it's going to be.
Shovel.
The sheep's head shovel. Yeah.
Thought.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think mainly I've heard a lot of my buddies that live up towards Virginia Beach doing that actually, where they get up around these pilings and they'll tie off to some of the bridge pilings or whatever, and scrape off the barnacles and do it like that, and then just whatever if they take clams or sand fleas, whatever it may be.
So the one thing I will caution before we move on is if you're, especially I'm thinking, of course, you know me, I'm Oregon Inlet, but if you fish around those big bridge abutments behind those dolphin systems and stuff, you need to be really careful because people cannot see this charter boats and yachts coming back and forth. Yeah. They can't see you tucked in behind there. And we've had serious accidents with stuff like that happening. So do be careful wherever you're tied up. I remember the boat that I grew up on, my dad's boat, it was called the Clem 4. It was plywood, 20-foot boat, had an old Mercury engine on it, and it was an old hydroplane racing engine. It had no neutral.
On a wooden boat.
Yeah, on a big wooden boat too.
Okay.
But he bought this motor cheap. It was one of the old Mercuries that were real tall. Yeah. But because it was a racing engine, it was only in gear all the time. And when he'd launch the boat, put us kids in, put us in life jackets, then before he ever cranked it up, he had to turn the boat around and point it out from the boat ramp. And then he'd say, hang on. And we'd hang on and vroom. And we'd go 40 miles an hour. And then when we came to wherever we were going to stop, we had to coast to a stop. We got mashed fingers and everything else.
Mashed fingers, mashed bows.
Fishing was a great memory.
That is awesome.
You want to talk to me now?
Attention?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually reading a message from a gentleman who tunes into you on a regular basis named Adam Dye. He lives in the Edinburgh part of Chesapeake.
All right.
And he was just kind of going through and texting me some stuff. And he said, man, ... I need to come meet Captain Marty. So one thing that we have here in the shop that we brought with us today is the brand new Captain Marty fishing guide that just came out last week. We got them right before Memorial Day weekend, and we brought a couple stacks down here. I got plenty more in the vehicle, in the Marty mobile, as I like to call it.
And this is Kara's friend on the cover, kissing the drum. He doesn't even know he's on the cover.
See,
What's
look at
his
that.
name, Kara? Russell, you're on the cover.
Okay. See, and that was the big question when we were going through and laying it out and everything. There was a question of who that gentleman might be, and we were all drawing a blank. So now we know. Mr. Russell, come get your...
took that picture gave us permission to use it. So
yes,
I'm stepping aside. I'm not legally responsible for this. But all right, so here at Red Drum Tackle, I mean, I've already picked out my crushed hat, my crushed cotton hat.
Got mine.
The style of hat I
fits
really like.
Perfectly.
But you guys do a lot of things. So tell us, first of all, I like to talk a lot when you help me a lot of times with fishing reports, things. Tell me about the fresh bait game. What the hoops that you, are we taking a break?
Let's take a quick break, Marty. Before we jump into all things tackle shop related,
okay,
we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll jump right into that.
Real. That's the first word that comes to mind when I think about Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor. Yeah, they're the first and last place you see coming to and leaving the Outer Banks on Highway 64 in Dare County, but they're also real when it comes to fresh local seafood. Troy Outland, real. Curtis and Josh, real. The indoor crab shedders, real. Stop by and see for yourself right next to White Shopping Center and check them out on social media. Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor, real.
Ahoy there, folks. Captain Edward Lee here, and I want to invite you aboard the Miss Oregon Inlet 2. She's a modern 60-foot headboat outfitted with the latest top-quality safety and fishing equipment. We make 3 trips per day out of the world-famous Oregon Inlet Fishing Center. Visit MissOregonInlet.com or call us today at 252-251-4314. So ditch the beach for a bit and set sail with the Miss Oregon Inlet 2.
All right, back here with the other side of fishing and Captain Marty on location at Red Drum Tackle. And Marty, you had a question about bait or something?
This is the whole game. I knew enough when I was in the tackle business for 6 of the longest years of my life that the bait deal, this is why you shop in local tackle shops. I preach it all the time. You can go in a big box store and buy frozen mullet or frozen squid. You're not, and I'm going to tell you why that doesn't work well. And you're also not going to get local knowledge at no cost. So here's the deal. Offshore fishing, inshore fishing, surf, pier, sound, if you're using meat for bait, it loses 50% of its catchability once it's been frozen. That might be a little gray area, or once it's a day old. I used to say when you cut up dolphin chum, like cut a bonita up for bait, it'd catch really good that first day. The next day they were a little bit pickier, but you can hang on to it because it might be all you had.
Yeah.
But if you got a fresh one, you threw that yesterday's out. And in the tackle shop business, when you come to a local tackle shop, you'll notice they have a lot of different types of fresh bait. And tell us, either one of y'all, about how you do that. It's political almost, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. If you don't have fresh bait, first of all, you're not selling anything else in the tackle shop, is what Bob used to tell me. And God rest his soul, he passed away a couple of years ago. And we'd go through thousands of pounds of bait on, say, a holiday weekend, say Thanksgiving, when the drum bite was really hot and heavy. And we would go through 1,000 pounds of fresh bait, not even counting the frozen bait.
Right.
But you would have to have menhaden and then mullet, and then like 2 or 3 different sizes of mullet. It was finger mullet, it was cob mullet, it was big, giant jumping mullet. And you had to have it because there was a different preference that your hardcore fishermen would request, or somebody else wanted nice bite size,
Finger mullet.
Yeah,
or
finger
cod
mullet to go on the hook.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little bit different with the newer regulations with not being able to purchase it on the weekends. I think it is. It kind of makes it hard because, like, for example, if it blows, like how we had a problem with it with this Memorial Day, Thursday and Friday, it was blowing 20 to 25, and we had no water on this side of the sound, so we weren't able to get very much bait. So we had to go to just relocate from. Luckily, we were able to, but we had to relocate where we got our bait from, just because of that fact.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it definitely makes it a little tough on us.
Right, and all that stuff's regulated by law. That's another thing.
That's correct.
And then you have loyalties with your suppliers, your commercial fishermen, right? And that's a game in itself.
It
100%. Yeah.
You know, but I go all over for it, across the sound, up to Nag's Head. Sometimes, last year when we had that moratorium on the mullet, I had to go and physically drive to Virginia to get mullet to sell here. Wow. Fresh bait.
That is a very tough thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Yeah. So you go through all that, but the idea you as a tackle shop supply the best you can get.
That's correct.
So also as a fisherman, you need to try to purchase the best you can get. So I'm not being too negative on frozen bait if that's all you can get.
Right.
And I know y'all keep it as a reserve.
That's correct.
But you want the fresh bait and you want to keep it fresh and keep it. My thing was keep it out. You can keep it on ice, but keep it out of the water. That's what I always
do.
Right.
I always, I like to salt mine. Like if I use frozen bait, I'll salt it down. Like, so what I'll do is when I'm thawing it out, I'll put some of the like brining salt you would use for these, what are they? For like you would use offshore. And I'll salt my mullet down so it's a little tougher, stays together a little bit better.
All right, so this is just me curious. I did notice some people want, like when you're drum fishing, and I know I've learned that when y'all say drum, you mean big drum. And if it was the small ones, you'd say puppy drum. Mm-hmm. But generally when people say drum, they're talking about yearlings and up maybe or something.
Yeah.
So what is the deal? Why is the mullet head? Is the mullet head as a favorite or no?
So personally, from personal experience, I like a mullet head when there's bluefish around. What it does is I don't think the bluefish can eat it off of it. So like springtime, we get a lot more bluefish, it seems, that are around when drum are here too. So we use the mullet head or even like a sea mullet head. What are they? Croakers? Like those heads?
Yeah.
And they last longer. And I feel like they sometimes can be a better bait.
Well, that and they eliminate some of the smaller pickers. Mm-hmm. They can't get their lips around it.
Thought about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You get your crabs, which can't pull it off or whatnot.
Okay, so now that we've done Mullet 101, and Justin, you can see he's over there putting it all on his phone, so he'll know.
Actually, Marty, in the time y'all been talking about this fresh bait, I have another email from a gentleman named Mr. Eric Bradley. I would love a copy of the Captain Marty Fishing Guide. I really enjoy the show. I've listened since day one. We're coming down this year, but not until the end of September. And I replied, absolutely, Mr. Eric. You send me your address, and I'll get the captain to autograph a copy for you personally.
I warned him about putting that out like that. You're going to be, your postage, I hope the head office is not paying for the.
We'll be paying for the postage.
All right, so Bobby.
I just don't know it yet.
So now let's move on. One more thing before we leave that subject. What about shrimp? Now, when the shrimp start running 1st of July, y'all do a lot of fresh shrimp too, right?
We do a little bit. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of frozen shrimp. I don't see as big of a difference between the mullet, like how the mullet, where if it's fresh or if it's frozen, makes a big difference. I do see it make a little bit of a difference, but not as substantial as mullet.
So it's not as big a game as the game of mullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because up on our end of the beach, North Oregon, shrimp are probably used more, maybe. I don't really know, but shrimp, if you can get it fresh, I mean, I think it's a good choice for bait. And then you got to get into when you're using shrimp, are you using shell on or shell off? What do you like?
A lot of the time I'm shell off.
Shell off.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just seems like I feel like they eat it better if they're shell off, and also I don't stab myself in the finger.
Okay.
But.
All right. So now here's the big controversy. Okay, because this is your lifeblood in this Red Drum Tackle Shop. talk to me about synthetic bait.
Like jig heads and grub tails, stuff like that?
No, I'm more interested in, maybe I said the wrong word, fish bites and things like that. Yeah.
Fish bites, they've been a big seller for us. I mean, I cannot tell you how many packs of those things that we've sold. I feel like a lot of people, like what I do personally, I put like a little piece of shrimp on or a piece of mullet or something, then I'll put a piece of fish bite on. I feel like it holds it on. And also, it carries that scent or
and
the
it's
flavoring.
tough. Stays on the hook good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like
and
you
then
got to take a pair of scissors to cut it off.
It slowly dissipates in the water, almost like chum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it has a smell to it. That yeah.
I just want to know the person that decided the flavors of fish bites.
Yeah. I want to know why. Maybe they do now, but I forgot and left a pack in my glove compartment one time.
Oh.
And by a couple months later, by the time I found it and the beer that was in there both had pretty much exploded. So, Justin, don't repeat that to anybody. That was top secret.
Top secret, Captain. It stays locked and key on your platform for all people to hear. So,
all right. So, Justin, you tell me when we're breaking it, but we're coming up to the discussion of a popping cork.
I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break right there, and when we come back, we'll talk about
this. Is going to be the greatest fishing tip we can give you today.
Let's stick around.
I don't know if they would agree with me, but we're
going to find out what the experts have to say in regards to said tip and the popping cork
and wading fishing. I want to talk about that a little bit.
We want to talk about that too.
Okay,
we're going to do all that and talk more about the tackle shop. When we come back.
Hey y'all, Captain Marty here to tell you that when my friends are in the market for a new boat engine, repair, or repower, I send them to the best in the business, and that's at Ratcliffe Marine in Belhaven. Ratcliffe Marine is your official Honda outboard dealer. Honda motors are designed to get you on the water fast and get you back to the dock safely and quickly. Ratcliffe Marine is best known as the largest repower center in North Carolina. So when you're in the market for a new motor or you need your Honda service, go to Ratcliffe Marine, 865 Highway 264, Belhaven.
When it comes to general maintenance or major modifications on your diesel vehicle, look no further than Wanchi's Off-Road Diesel Performance in Kill Devil Hills. Master mechanic Ryan Walker developed the plan for having his own auto shop over 20 years ago, and today he owns the premium diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks. To have him and his crew take a look under your hood, give him a call today at 252-715-0025 or find him on social media. Wanchi's Off-Road Diesel Performance, the diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks.
All right, back here with Captain Marty on location here at Red Drum. Man, we're having a good time today. I'm enjoying every minute of this, and of course,
I'm just waiting for the caterers.
They're on their way.
Okay.
They're on their way. The Captain Marty girls. The hot tub I saw just got delivered outside, so we're going to get that ready.
And my old friend next door, Mabel.
Yeah. Mabel Hathaway.
Yeah.
Her and
ice cream place over there.
And Cam Whitaker.
Before we leave.
That if they're open, I know that they've been open. They changed their hours a little bit because I think right now it is in the morning of the 29th of the month of May in the year of our Lord 2025. They open in the afternoon, but that's okay. Hey, Real Swirly right next door. Give them a quick plug.
Yeah,
you come to Red Drum Tackle. Go over and get you some ice cream. Great local folk running great local business, and that's what we're all about with the Captain Marty Show.
Get you some fresh mullet and some ice cream at the same time.
Now, I wonder if you put ice cream,
flavored ice cream.
Oh man, if you had fish flavored ice cream and you use that as chum, do you think that would work?
No,
you don't think so? Maybe the milk would help it kind of saturate into. No. All right, I'm gonna leave this conversation back to the experts. I'm gonna hand the microphone back to Mr. Bobby here.
All right, so I got one more thing on gear, and then we'll talk about our fishing reports we do with Red Drum Tackle and our other fine sponsors. But so last year, now I grew up, and I keep relating back to growing up because I had a charmed childhood where I grew up fishing. Loved to wade fish, especially for speckled trout, but nowadays, like up on Roanoke Island and on the backside of Hatteras Island and on the backside of Oak Creek, there's a lot of people that wade. Will enjoy it. And in the summertime, you don't need waders. You do need a good pair of shoes because you don't want to go out and step on a skate or a stingray. But people, Ricky Radcliffe, of all people, one of our other sponsors over at Radcliffe Marine, showed me how to rig up a popping cork. And tell our listeners, Bobby, exactly what that rig is if you want to catch a drum or a speckled trout with a popping cork.
Yeah, so mainly when I'm using a popping cork, I feel like I'm throwing like a jig head and a grub tail, like an artificial bait.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm putting like probably a foot and a half leader in front of it, and then put my popping cork up there. What I think it's doing is it's suspending that bait a little bit so it swims downwards, but also creates that movement like it's appearing like it's a bigger fish, like it's throwing water, and then it's like almost like a dead minnow that's been killed by a bigger fish.
Under the pop, because the pop, when it pops, it looks like a predator, or it kind of
that movement like a tail, like a tail would be, where a fish is coming out of the water and feeding.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where it. I see it a lot more. Or even I'll sometimes just put like a circle hook with a lead, like a little, like a 2 foot leader, depending on how deep I'm fishing.
That's the next question I have.
And using some live bait, like pinfish, whatever. So.
Wow. Ricky was telling us that the way he described it, if you're in 3 feet of water or like wading, I'm talking about along the shoreline, that leader should be enough to get it down at least close to the bottom. So maybe a 3 foot leader.
Yeah.
Or is that the way you see it?
Yeah. Like if I'm fishing, usually if I'm fishing like a 2 to 3 foot of water, I'm using like a 2.5 foot. So it gets within maybe like 6 to 8 inches of the bottom, but then it pops out. And I really like fishing like where you'll see some of these sandy spots, and then it goes right back to grass, like kind of like sand pits almost.
Yeah.
I feel like I catch a lot of my fish on those edges of those sand pits.
Yeah.
And it's pretty shallow water.
Yes.
Yeah. And the sound.
Do you guys ever go wade fishing, or?
No, mainly we're boat fishing.
When
mainly.
you have a 28-foot boat, you don't do a whole lot of wade fishing.
Well, we fished a lot with Bob out of the 21-foot Carolina skiff, and we would just go all over and swim or
wade
cast.
fish, and just we would wade fish out of the boat, but a lot of ours is drift fishing.
All right. Well, now another thing that you guys have helped me a lot with is these fishing reports. Justin, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, of course, every day this time of the year, Monday through Friday, we have your fishing reports. And this week specifically, it was just kind of ironic how everything fell with the fishing reports, because your fishing reports have been all brought to you in part by Red Drum Tackle in Buxton.
Yes.
So in your fishing reports, again, you start, your spectrum is great. You go from Hatteras Island, you work your way north.
Huh?
You know, you hit all your offshore and your beach fishing. Come back, you bring it into the back country fishing. You cover a lot of the Pamlico Sound, but you don't just do Pamlico Sound. You do all of it. But
depending on where the bite is.
Yes, and I mean, we're thankful to have such great sponsors for your fishing reports and everything, like Red Drum Tackle, to be able to help put that on the air for you.
Now, and I want to take a moment on my site.
Yes,
there are both fishing reports and my stories, which is what I love. Tell them about that.
Yeah. So if you are, and it's simple. So one of the questions that I get a lot of times is, how can I find Captain Marty's content if I'm not familiar? I want to find it. I haven't heard it before, that sort of thing. If you go into Google search bar, and I challenge you, Mr. Bobby, if you have your phone on you right now, you go to Google and you just type in Captain Marty. The first thing that pops up is the site. Yeah, go ahead, Miss Kara. I challenge you to do these things. Is the site where you can click on and go, yes, the very top one, Outer Banks This Week, Captain Marty's Fishing Reports, and you can scroll right down, and there they are. You've got his stories, his Other Side of Fishing show, and his fishing reports.
The stories are what I love to tell, and we got 20 of them or more on there, and we're putting 2 or 3 on every week. So.
Yes.
But the fishing reports, my fishing reports, I pride myself in not being generic, because a lot of times if you read local fishing reports, they'll say there were sea mullet, bluefish, and puppy drum. Well, does that mean one of each, or does that mean it was a good bite? Does it mean they bit in the morning? They're so generalized. So I like to say things that would make it a little bit more like, how was the bite? Was it scrappy? Was it hit and miss, or terms I use?
Right.
Was it really gold star catches? But the most important thing is in those fishing reports that Kara and Bobby sponsor me on, we do other things like how to cook your fish.
Yes.
How to the gear stuff. You know?
I don't think I've gotten that phone call on when you're cooking the fish, that to be involved. We need to have a little cookout.
You want to be a part of that?
I do. And then we absolutely need to do it in the fall too, and add some oysters possibly.
It sounds to me like we need to come down here and bring a video element and do a cooking show.
She's got me on that one. She knows that
with the oysters, yes.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yes.
Well, no. I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, I wouldn't eat an oyster if you paid me $100. And the first Native
Let's go get a $100 bill out the register real quick.
First Native American that ever ate one, I'd love to have been sitting there and seen why he ate it in the first place. I'm not an oyster. I like to catch them and cook them and feed other people, but I won't eat them.
Well, see, I'll sit down with your fishing reports a lot of times, and I listen. As often as I can, I try to listen to the entire thing and see if there's any little spots I can tighten up a little bit and make them sound crisp and whatnot. And all too often, I'll have to stop and hit pause and just start laughing because Marty will have said something. What did he say the other day? You were talking about the weather was horrible.
Oh yeah, what they do in their beach cottages when when they're not fishing.
When they're not fishing, they're playing cards or Twister or something like that. And then sometimes
play Twister.
And then sometimes he'll say, let your wives or your girlfriends or both know where you're about to file in a float plan. Or your husbands, your boyfriends or both know about the float plan that you have filed away. So stuff like that is just it keeps it comical, it keeps it interesting.
Sometimes, if you need someone to know you're missing at sea, it doesn't matter if it's your wife or your girlfriend.
But the moral of the story
the story is get rescued.
Get rescued, yes, but
also deal with it later.
But the overall arching thing here for your fishing reports is they're not just, hey, so offshore.
Right. That's exactly right.
Dolphin, yellowfin, blue marlin. It's deeper than that.
Yeah,
you take it to another level.
We've been explaining the popping cork and how to use that. We've been talking about wading fishing. Tony Lombardi supports us, and he has walkingangler.com, and it's all about all the places on Outer Banks you don't need a boat to go fishing. So, it's a lot of fun. And those fishing reports this time of year, we do them Monday through Friday, and it's a good way to get started.
Absolutely.
All right, so we talked about bait. Tell us about I don't know where to go with this. So I am interested in your custom rod building.
Yeah.
And I did not know that you could build rods of just about any type. Tell us about that, Bobby.
Yeah, so we have rods ranging all the way from like a 6-foot trout rod all the way to the bent butt 130s or even unlimited blanks that people talk about and fish for whatever it might be, whether it be big blue marlin, big bluefin tuna, all the way down to, I think I've built some crappie rods before.
Mm-hmm.
So
I heard they were pretty good, actually.
I have heard they are good, but
they're not crappie.
I know. I love we call them crappie. Some people call them speckled perch or crappie.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I want to ask a question. So one of the best gift ideas, I know it's not the holidays, but we do have Father's Day coming up, but there's some lead time that's required, but there is no better gift that you can give somebody, especially a speckled trout fisherman, than a custom built. What's an ideal speckled trout rod? Give me an example.
There's a bunch of different ones out there right now. You can either go custom.
I mean, the one that you could
with
build.
custom.
Yeah.
We're building mainly two right now. There is the American Tackle Blank, which it's a Bushido, which it's like I think it's like
tech.
Yeah, it's like an 1/8 to 3/4 ounce rod, or even a 1/4 to 1 1/4 rod. Which is a great pop and cork rod like we were talking about, or even just throwing like a jig head and grub tail. Or the other one is a CTS. It's called a Slipstream. It's a great rod. It's mainly a glass rod, so it's real whippy. You can feel everything with it, and those rods they offer a lot of different colors in.
Okay, so you build those here.
Yes, sir.
All right, and you can put colors that a person would require or request, right? Any color combination. All right. So as a gift, I want to, first of all, how much time should you allow? I did this once before my radio show and overran the tackle rod builder to die. Don't do that. Don't say that anymore but what's the lead time right now?
Usually we try to, personally, like with me and our other guy that build rods in here, he's a little bit more backed out than I am. I'm usually I like to say 2 to 3 months, because that gives me time to plan, that gives me time to think about ideas and to mesh those colors together so it looks just like you would like it to.
And so it's totally custom, totally unique gift idea.
Yeah.
And then can you put initials or anything, any kind of letter? Well, maybe not on a speckled trout rod, but
yeah, we do. We've done people's last names, whatever.
Okay. So now, again, someone's listening, you know what? That is a good idea. I can plan ahead for the fall or for Christmas or whatever. The more notice they give you, the better. But like for a speckled trout rod ballpark, custom built, what would that cost?
Right. I think it's
what's a range?
250 to 350. I think is usually where we're at with those guys. I'm not 100% looking at my spec sheet, but I think right around that ballpark. And then we go up from there with pricing on whether you go to a Spanish rod that's like a 2 to 4 ounce rod, a cobia rod. They go up in price, but they're all between our least expensive, I think, is $250, and our most expensive is like $675, unless you want other real high tech custom work. But
you're talking about a product that is literally a work of art, a piece of art that you can give to your grandkids if you don't slam it in the car door. Yeah. I've had to repair a couple that have been. Yeah. All right. So now we know about that. Tell us about the offshore stuff. Now, you guys mentioned that you're in the blue marlin capital of the world. In fact, when I came here in 1975, they had a bumper thing that said Hatteras, North Carolina, blue marlin capital of the world. The world got a lot bigger since then, and people blue marlin fish everywhere. But just this week, Bull Tolson had 5 out of 7 blue marlin one day. And the fender bender, which came out of Oregon Inlet, but they came down around the diamond. They were fishing off Hatteras. They caught 9 blue marlin and 5 whites the other day. One day, 9 blue marlin. Yeah, that's crazy. So it's crazy. The blue marlin fishing is something. And I noticed you got lures, but are you guys geared up to help people with offshore stuff? I know you're growing in that category too. Yes, right? Sir. We're kind of limited. We do have a decent amount, but we're going into the next couple of years, we will be going and getting a lot more. So okay, all right, Justin.
Turn it back over to me, huh? Yeah,
I'm running out of I'm not running out of questions, but I wanted to see, because every time I get a good question, you make me stop.
Well, no, it's always good. We can take a quick break. Everybody, we got some waters over here and wet our whistle real quick and keep the party going. I see there's been customers coming in since we've been sitting here, and it seems like everybody's.
I'm a customer. I'm getting ready to. I got my crushed hat.
And me too.
Yeah.
And me too. And I love the way. See, they got different styles of hats out there. Yeah. And I'm a hat guy.
We differ in our hat.
Yes, we do. And I mean, it's
our hair approach as well.
Well. You're good looking and I am not. We know this. All right, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
They always tell me I have a face for radio.
But no, we're again not going down that rabbit hole. But what I will say is the way this is like what's it called, Pacific. I took the sticker off already. Yeah, it's like a Pacific style hat. Certain type. Okay, I specifically. Wait a minute. Hold on. It's on the. No, keep going down. It's not that one. It's that one. That one has a sticker that says Pacific on it, right? Yeah. So that's the style hat because you got the Richardson ones. Those are great. Nothing wrong with that. But this one fits my head a lot better because of just, I don't know. It just fits better. And I haven't had a hat like this in a while. What is it? P686.
Got here? Are we breaking, or do you want?
No. Real quick.
Kara and I were talking a little bit earlier. So, the big thing about surf fishing is waders. Tell us about your wader selection and.
I'll tell you what. Let's break. Then
I told you every time.
I didn't know which way you were going.
Okay.
All right. Quick break. We're going to talk about waders when we come back.
Okay.
What could possibly be more fun than watching a bottlenose dolphin swim and play in the water right beside you? Hop aboard Harbor Star Dolphin Tours at Wanchese Marina and witness this remarkable animal up close. The Harbor Star is a spacious 50-foot vessel with a wide, shady canopy that runs 2-hour trips multiple times a day, including a breathtaking sunset cruise. To book your tour, go online to wanchesemarina.com and click Harbor Star Dolphin Tours. See the majestic bottlenose dolphin up close with Harbor Star Dolphin Tours.
Are you ready for a fishing thrill like no other?
Oh, there he is! There he is! Oh, got him up!
As seen on WikiTune Outer Banks, the Carolina Girl, captained by majestic Jesse Anderson, is a custom, luxurious 53-foot Jarrett Bay built boat running out of Hatteras Harbor Marina. Let Jesse and her crew give you a fishing experience of a lifetime. To book a trip, go online to CarolinaGirlSportFishing.com. Carolina Girl Sport Fishing, your offshore adventure awaits.
All right, we're back. We're back with the other side of fishing and Captain Marty here at Red Drum Tackle in Buxton. We're the closest to the point right now, the closest tackle shop to the point. And, of course, they got everything you need to go fishing at the point, whether they have waders if you need. Is that right, Marty?
That's very true, and we're going to get to that. But keep in mind when you say the point, we all around here, our localists, know what you're talking about. But on this podcast, there would be a lot of people around the world, around the country, that are like, what's he talking about? And we mentioned it up front, but we were talking about Cape Hatteras, Hatteras Island. The point is basically where the Cape Point is.
Yes.
Judge
There you
out
go.
the ocean.
It converges. The Labrador Current comes down from the north,
Right.
and the Gulf Stream meet right at Cape Point.
Okay.
Right.
There you go. That's good description. Very good.
And more than that, about 15 miles off that point is the Diamond Shoals Light Tower, which replaced the Diamond Shoals Lightship, one of the most historic locations. 600 shipwrecks in the graveyard of the Atlantic. I read all the time, and that's my favorite subject, is German U-boats, Cape Point, Cape Hatteras. There's the Hook right out here, which is, I had the most miserable day at sea I've ever had. Fishing with John Bayless in the dead of winter when he talked me into going drop netting. And I got mad at him. I told the story this
Yes.
and I quit. Out there blowing 30 up under the hook, and he was being rude.
He was being anyway.
Pushy.
Yes,
and I
we'll
was
say it
cold
that
and
way.
wet and tired. And I said, I quit. And he said, you can't quit. You're on a boat and we're in the ocean. I said, oh, if I could have swam to the beach and it wasn't 30 degrees water, I would have.
There you
But
go.
it's a famous place. Cape Point is what we're talking about. When
Now-
you fish there, waders are a prerequisite. Go ahead.
Well, before we jump into the waiter situation, I just want to know if Miss Kara or Mr. Bobby here ever tried to go lay claim to what was once Shelley Island.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever try to lay claim to Shelley Island, Mr. Bobby?
No, I was a little bit too young to know really laying claim what it was exactly, but I know there was some people that tried to, and the remnants of it are still here.
That's Cape Point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of sandbars. I don't know if y'all have been out there recently, but a couple of years ago we had it. I think it was right after Matthew. Most of our beach got cut off and eroded away, and it went from where you used to drive probably a mile from the sand dune to where you got to Cape Point, and now it might be a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, and but the amount of sand that we're seeing nowadays out there, where it's starting to build up and go back out, is a great thing, and it's constantly building and changing. So that shows you what our fishery does too. It's just constantly changing
all the time. And so when you say the point, we're talking go to Google Earth and find Cape Hatteras National Seashore, Cape Hatteras. That's where we're at. We're at the entrance right here at Red Drum. Now, Kara, I'm looking around. I see a lot of waders, but I'm old school. There's several different kinds of waders, right? But what do you recommend if you're buying your first pair of waders?
Right, because you're standing on the sand all day, you need a cleated boot or something real supportive. You can wear stocking foot, but the cleated boot gives you more support on your arch, your calves, your back, and it'll take it out of you. Between standing on that sand and then the wind blowing, there's always a steady breeze out here going, and the wind's always switching or whatever, and you have to be geared up in the winter months to fish for those drum. And then you want to gird up. You want to wear a belt around your waist so that if, God forbid, you fall in, they don't fill up. But there's a lot of people out there enjoying the fishing, fishing together, having cookouts and stuff like that, and then all the while watching the water, watching for the schools of drum to show up and move up and down the beach.
Good point, because I know Tony has taught us a lot about reading the beach. We'll get to that in a second. But the waders, so a stocking foot and a boot foot? One is like got a shoe almost on, right?
Yeah, the cleated boot foot.
Right, so that's all in one pair. And then what is a stocking foot?
A stocking foot has neoprene booty sewn into the bottom, and it's sewed up and glued shut so that it's waterproof.
But you don't put it inside of another boot.
You could if you wanted to, or you could just walk, in what
it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I have friends that wear sandals with them.
Or you can wear
Like,
Crocs or whatever.
Yeah, just some type of something to protect it.
Yeah,
because
keep from wearing them out so much.
That's
yeah,
correct.
well, that you'll step on a shell and it'll cut them wide open. So you want to be able to have something that
So
with
what
those
is
stocking
are
foot.
they mostly neoprene nowadays, or what?
No, they're breathable waders with a cleated boot.
Yeah, I was
on the
about to say I
bottom.
don't remember what exact material they are, but it's almost like kind of like a rain jacket material.
Okay.
Instead, they kind of moved away from the neoprene. Like some of the hardcore guys where they'll be here in December will wear neoprene, but mainly they're just breathable waders nowadays. And you just wear sweatpants and bundle up so that it's more just pushing the water away and not keeping you warm as much.
All right, so let's get back to reading the beach. When you go, wherever you go, and you guys have, 60 miles of beaches to fish on, how do you read the beach?
It just depends. A lot of the time I'm looking for like a hole in the bar. You'll see like the waves breaking on either side, and you'll see the current pulling out, which that is an outsuck. So you got to be careful. The same
thing you look for as for a riptide as well.
Okay. Yep, it's a riptide. I'm not swimming in that. I don't recommend doing it.
Yeah,
you get ripped out on that. But fishing in it, I feel like there's a lot of very good fishing to be done either in there or just inside the bar.
Okay. And the one thing, the big mistake I think a lot of people make, I've been taught this by people that are surf fishermen. Most people like overcast. I'm not talking about red drum fishing, but for sea mullet and pompano, and don't most people overcast?
Yeah, I mean,
too far.
Like sometimes I'll be throwing 10 feet, like 10 literally feet. Right as where the waves break on the shore. I'm throwing right there. Or sometimes if that bar's out there 30 yards, I'm trying to throw 25 yards just to be on the inside of the bar.
Yeah, because I know some people think the object is to throw it as far as you can. That's a novice mistake, but you want to fish where the fish are feeding, which a lot of times is right up there in the wash.
Right, and around the bar, the inflow and the outsuck of a bar that comes in and is, say, 40 yards off the beach. Mm-hmm. And then you got to think like a fish. He's trying to escape all those bigger fish that have the teeth and stuff. So he's going to be near shore where he can hide and ambush some food.
Isn't it amazing? Y'all probably witnessed it. I have a couple times, but when the fish get run up on the beach.
Oh, good.
Tell us about that. Tell us the story.
Last year, so either last year or the year before, I got to witness, I don't know what it was chasing them up. I think it was bigger sharks chasing up dog sharks up on the beach.
Really? Now that one I've never heard of.
On the north side of the point. I went out there one morning real bright and early. 5, 6 o'clock, and I could hear fish just splashing constantly. And I turned my headlights back on, and here they are just, running dogfish up on the beach. And it was so thick that you could just walk on them almost. And it was probably 3 or 4 different pods of like 2 or 3 acres.
So it was beach. What kind of sharks eating big sharks eating smaller sharks?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't know what the bigger sharks were, but the dog sharks. Yeah.
Okay. So I've seen the big bluefish run trout up on the beach before.
That happened
last year.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the point there was a plethora of fish. Oh, write that one down, Marty.
Plethora. We're using big words.
Big words.
It's almost as big as ambiance, which we started with.
Ambiance here at Red Drum Tackle.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
I don't know. There's been a lot of different schools. Like, I don't know if you ever saw this, but the last 2 or 3 years, we've been throwing these big sting silvers and Hopkins, like 6-ounce pieces of metal at these drum schools because they're popping up on top within casting distance. And it's a very limited amount of time that we're getting to do it, but it's a very cool thing.
Okay.
Exciting.
Yeah, you get 200 people out there throwing 6-ounce pieces of metal as far as they can, and I've probably saw 2 or 3 different days where there was 30 different people hooked up at the same time because of it.
What happened 2 weeks ago was they were scaring croakers. The bluefish were so thick that they scared croakers up onto the beach.
Yeah, and be careful if you see this happen. Certain things you still have to go by the legalities as to what you can throw in your bucket and carry off the beach. So I'm confused about. I know the speckled trout season is closed back in the Is it closed in the ocean or not?
It is.
Yeah, Yes, sir. I think so.
Okay, so it's closed everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Justin.
Marty, it's we're running out of time.
Well, we're catching fish. We're
teaching people.
What's that old saying? If you buy a person a fishing pole, you
feed them for a lifetime.
You feed Kara and Bobby for a week.
If you buy it from Red Drum Tackle.
If you buy and if you teach them how to use that fishing rod, you'll buy Bobby and Kara food for a year.
Amen.
I just want to tell you that if you come in here, you're going to get first class service. You're going to get shown the knots that you need to know.
Oh yeah.
When you're out there on the beach, and the equipment that we're using based on your budget. We're not going to
try to overset. Yeah,
that's correct.
Here, talk
price
about this.
gouge. There you go. Not going to do
How
that.
about this. What I've always found is the people that shop the big box stores find out that your prices are. I know for a fact your prices are very competitive. If you think that the big box stores are cheaper, they're not necessarily cheaper. And your prices, I remember I was in the business. I had to compete with catalogs and big box stores.
That's right.
Yeah. So look, you're going to get local service, local knowledge, fresher bait, and the price is going to be well within range of everything.
That is correct.
And you have clothing and T-shirts, stuff all over the store. I see a lot of kid sizes and things like that.
Well, Marty, we're going to take one more quick break, and we're going to come back. And, speaking of tying things up, we're going to tie this all together in just a few moments and wrap this whole thing up, okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, when we come back, tying it all up here at Red Drum Tackle.
Frisco Woods Campground, a family-owned gem for over 50 years, offers a perfect getaway on Hatteras Island. Whether you prefer tent camping, electric water sites, RV spots, or primitive camping cabins, there's something for everyone. Guests enjoy free hot showers, a refreshing pool, and breathtaking sunsets over the Pamlico Sound. Nestled in nature yet close to local attractions, Frisco Woods Campground provides a peaceful retreat with modern comforts, making it an ideal destination for outdoor enthusiasts and families alike. Book online at the Frisco Woods Campground.com. Frisco Woods Campground, 50 years of memory making on Hatteras Island.
Teachers Lair Marina in Hatteras Village is the closest spot on the Outer Banks to the Gulf Stream. Just inside Hatteras Inlet, Teachers Lair is fully loaded with bait, tackle, ice, snacks, and drinks for your fun-filled day out on the water. Want to get rigged up to catch the big one? Lee and the gang in the tackle shop can outfit you to catch whatever is eager to get hooked. To see the marina, the tackle shop, or to book a charter, go online to teacheslair.com. Teachers Lair Marina in Hatteras Village. Your fishing venture awaits.
Good job.
Hey, breaking news as we come back from
You want to talk to them?
Yeah, if they want to talk.
Okay.
Miss Missy Fike just came in here, so before we wrap this up, we're gonna go keep on going here. Miss Missy Fike just came in with this beautiful pompano.
Yeah, she sure did. That thing, I've only eaten one in my life. It was really good. But tell us that story, Missy. Where'd you catch him at, and how'd you do it?
We were out at the point, just down here off the ramp, and I was casting in the shallows trying to get mullet, and then I got bored with that, and I just cast as far as I could, and this is what hit.
We were just giving a lecture about how not to cast too far.
It's a big ocean.
Yeah, so have you ever caught a pompano before?
No, I haven't.
Where are you from?
I'm from Virginia.
Yeah, okay. So that's a nice
It's a
pompano.
beautiful fish.
Yeah. So have you ever eaten one?
No.
They are really good. I finally ate my first one last year. It was delicious.
Might have to look up a good recipe then.
Skin side on the grill.
Is that a citation or no?
It might be.
Yeah. Okay. Is that,
Three pounds, 8 ounces.
Citation? All right. Well, good job. The state will
2
give
pounds
you
is a citation. That's a great. I'll be posting that before we get too far.
Okay.
Tell them about your rod.
Oh yeah, let's hear about your rod.
Okay, so I was here last night, and Travis set me up with a new rod, Daiwa MCast, and I can't. And a BG 4000. So first fish I caught on the new rod and reel.
Way to go, Travis!
You work for NASCAR.
Way to go, Missy.
Yeah, she sounds like a NASCAR driver.
Yeah, that's right.
Good job. That's a beautiful fish. I mean, I've never caught a pompano that size in my life.
Missy's a hooked pompano fishing woman for the rest of her life.
What was the bait? What was the bait?
It was shrimp.
Just shrimp. Okay.
Yeah.
Good job. Way to go.
Much.
I'm proud
Thank
of you.
you.
Thank you for giving us a few minutes. Hey, that's a great way to start off this fishing report that Miss Kara was so eagerly wanting to give. So there you go. We got a, what did they say, a 19-inch? What is it? 19-inch,
3 pounds, 8 ounces?
3 pound, 8 ounce fish.
Stud.
And that's on the point. And that's a citation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
It's our first pompano ever, too.
Yeah,
You should have told her it was out of season. It's one of those kind of citations.
They don't taste very good, I've heard. Yeah, that's a way over record, or not record, citation. Citation's only 2 pounds for those guys, so that's a nice one.
Yeah. So, what is the fishing report?
The fishing report is really mixed. I mean, it's a great variety.
We've started to see a lot of big Spanish. I mean, like not real long, but fat Spanish.
Yeah, well fed.
I caught some bonito mackerel the other day.
And that's from the boat.
Yeah, that was from the boat just out front. They've been catching a couple cobia, a couple drum here and there.
Cobia off the surf?
No, out in the boat. I was about to get to that.
Okay.
I have heard of 1 or 2 being off the piers up north, and off. I've heard of 1 off the beach. Other than that, we've been catching some Spanish off the beach, bluefish, an occasional puppy drum or 2, nice pompano.
Big drum at night.
Yeah, sea mullet have been pretty on fire. Other than that, just a little bit of mixture between and a bunch of flounder, which we can't keep those guys. But
those. All right, so you said big drum at night.
Yes, those guys that are walking out at Avon and down in Hatteras, where you're allowed to be. Walking, they're catching close to 35 to 40 inch drum. And that's sporadic, but those that are putting in the time and the effort, it's paying off. I did have Missy's that just caught the pompano. Her family caught a nice big shark from the beach. I just briefly looked at it to identify.
Probably a black tip. They've been catching a bunch of black tips.
Probably a 6-footer.
We're going to take advantage of this situation. So I always like to say the best bet. What is the best bet for people listening this morning? What's the best thing you could recommend for them to do to go fish?
To go fish and just come in here, see us, and we can get you rigged up and ready to go so you can go catch some of these fish.
Okay, but I mean, like what gear? What would you say? Rig up with bait, rig up with lures, rig up with metal?
Bait mainly bait. Like that. She said, like Missy said, she's using shrimp, mainly some mullet or even sand fleas.
Okay.
On like a 2-drop rig, which I'm using probably like anywhere range from like a 1/0 to like a size 3 hook.
Circle hook or a J hook?
It depends. If you're letting it sit in the sand spike, a circle hook. If you're holding it, a J hook.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're catching Spanish mackerel too. Just started this past week. It's been an early morning, late evening bite. Can't get onto the beach until after 6:30, where we're fishing mostly, and then you have to be off by 9 o'clock. But we're catching 20 to 25 inch Spanish mackerel out there. It was a really good bite last Saturday, and that's on a 1 5/8 ounce lure. And it's been anywhere. It just hasn't mattered, but we start off with pink and white.
Yeah, 1 to 2.5 ounces are usually that range.
All right, so that gives you an idea of what to do and where to go. I want to end with this because I already told you that I'm not a fan of oysters, but I know people love them to death. But you know what I do like that so many people, especially people from up north, turn their nose up at? One of my favorite eating fish is a fresh tailor bluefish. I love a bluefish.
Bluefish salad? Oh, yeah.
We're catching those on lures and cut bait on a drum rig.
And people will come down from the Northeast and turn their nose up at bluefish.
It's crazy. It's just.
I think it's honestly 2 different tasting fish almost from up north and down here. I think
that's a good point.
Because of the water temperature and whatnot. I think because of it being a hotter water temperature, I don't think it allows even worms to get into it as much. Because like you get some of these bigger ones that'll have worms. And I don't think it does, but I think also just because of the current, like we were talking about where the 2 currents meet, I don't know exactly, but I feel like they could be 2 different tasting fish.
Okay. So. All right. Wow. We covered a lot of ground.
We did.
Thank you all for having us down here today.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you for coming down. And it gives more exposure to the Outer Banks as a whole, and it's a good time. It's not commercialized. It's a good family time.
Yeah.
You're enjoying it from sun up to sundown. Whether you're 1 or 101, you can go out to the beach and drive and enjoy it.
You know what would get me back down here to do this again?
What?
But I don't
oysters.
know if Justin has the capability. What would you say?
Oysters?
No, not oysters. No, but if you go out and catch a couple of those dolphin on your boat, you have a fish fry. So, Justin, if they were to take us in their vehicle out to Cape Point, How could we broadcast from Cape Point?
Just need a power source.
Well, we don't have a power source.
I'll get you a generator.
No. To be honest with you, I can do it. I can do it. We might only have one microphone that we can pass around, but it can be done.
I would love
this is happening.
Okay.
I would do that because it's been several years since I've been out there. And I would love to just go sit on the beach. And
how about we go fish and then even
we could actually,
I have a Blackstone. We could cook on the beach.
Oh, my gosh. Now you're speaking my language. I love I got a Blackstone at home. I love that thing.
That would be kind of fun to do a little podcast while we're fishing.
I mean, I'm totally comfortable with that, Captain. I got the equipment. We have the technology. I mean, Mr. Catch and cook. Hey, Mr. Bobby's full of good ideas over here.
Around here.
We'll start off with biscuits and sausage gravy from the beach, and then we'll finish up with the fish.
Now my wife's going to show up.
And that's like, ask Bobby. He's a duck hunter. They eat good in the duck ponds usually. Yeah.
You know, we'd be remiss to not mention, you know, speaking of duck hunting and everything, you know, the passing of Phil Robertson. Yeah. It's very, you know, so we'll mention that real. So, you know, thoughts and prayers to the family. That was a great guy. You know, those the videos and everything that he did back in the day. Great videos. So, well, Marty, I guess that's going to kind of wrap things up for us here at Red Drum Tackle in Buxton, the closest tackle shop to the point. And, of course, we've described the point.
Yeah, we did.
And where it is.
And we're going back to the point.
Well, tell us real quick. You know, people want to see fishing reports. I know y'all post stuff online. They want to see more about the tackle shop. They want to see the different things that you have in here. Where can they find you online?
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. I try to post every couple of days. You know, just like,
that'll just come on in here.
Yeah. Fishing reports, pictures of families, kids, parents, you know, all kinds.
So if you're coming down Hatteras Island, you come into the village of Buxton, and there's on your left will be the access down to the Cape Point and the lighthouse, and on your right straight across the street is Red Drum.
Right next to Real Swirly, where you can get some really, really nice
ice
cream.
We're all doing the NASCAR promotions, and we're going to lunch at a brand new sponsor as well, right?
Yes, we are. We're going to go to Lalo's Tacos and Pizzeria.
All right.
Yes, we're gonna go check them out here in just a few moments as we head through. Brisket tacos.
Brisket tacos.
I think it's cow tongue that they do. I don't know.
What?
Some people don't like it, but it is good.
No, I'd rather have oysters.
I'll let Marty try that one. All right. Wrapping this thing up here, the other side of fishing, all brought to you presented by Red Drum Tackle, again, right here in Buxton. Very happy to be here, all powered by Radcliffe Marine in Bellhaven, the largest repower center in all of Northeast North Carolina, and you can check them out online at radcliffemarine.com. Also, power in this vessel is Wanchese Marina, and you can check them out online as well, wanchesemarina.com. Y'all, thank you so much for allowing us to come down here and do this, and it won't be the last time we do it, because this has really been a slice of heaven.
It's been fun, and now we're going to do, what do we call the thing on the beach? Catch and
Cook series with Red Drum Tackle.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Bobby.
I love it. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for listening to The Other Side of Fishing with Captain Marty Brill, all brought to you by Red Drum Tackle. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app. Just search Captain Marty and share this episode with your favorite fishing friends.